Hello there, welcome to the news on NTV. I'm Rosina Rai, starting with the top stories. Second phase of election canvassing begins from today. Election Commission reminds parties of code of conduct. Ethiopian government signed a peace deal with Tigray rebels. A deal calls for permanent end of hostilities that killed hundreds in 2 years. South Korea conducts missile drills after North Korea launches. Seoul claims Pyongyang fired suspected long-range missiles. And Nepal playing against Bhutan today in the match of SAF U15 Women's Championship in Bangladesh. Welcome back. Now, the news in detail. Parties and candidates are beginning their election campaign for the upcoming election to the House of Representatives and Provincial Assembly. The parties and candidates are allowed to organize rallies, mass assemblies and corner meetings in course of electioneering. The election campaign can be run until November 17. Chief Election Commissioner Dinesh Kumar Thapalia shared arrangements are in place to monitor whether government ministers and province follow the rule to take permission to use government vehicles during the election publicity campaign. The Code of Conduct requires election candidates to present the details of the expenditure of the publicity campaign to the election office within 15 days of the completion of the voting. The expenditure details should be presented in the format determined by the Election Commission. The Election Commission has so far asked for clarifications from 71 individuals and organizations in the connection to the violation of the Election Code of Conduct, and they are in the process of responding to that. The process of collecting facts and conducting investigation is on in this connection. Likewise, the receiving of any voluntary monetary assistance from political parties and its expenditure should be in line with the Act relating to political parties and the Clause 16 of the Election Code of Conduct 2022. The Election Commission has decided to make 100 polling stations friendly to differently abled. According to Saligram Sarma Paudel, the spokesperson of the Commission, sign language indicators will be installed in the polling stations and the employees will be orientated on the use of sign language in the polling stations. Similarly, the Commission informed Braille materials related to voting methods, colorful ropes and poles, construction of ramps, construction of wheelchair accessible polling stations, tables and chairs for differently abled will be arranged so far. We have more updates at the site. Before that, a short break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You are on NTV News. Now the remaining updates. The government of Nepal has given permission in principle for a two-way air services agreement with the US and Switzerland. The government gave permission to forward further process after the preliminary agreement to take ahead the process for direct flight to the US and Switzerland. 3 months ago, it is said that Federal Aviation Administration of the US has sent a letter for two-way air service agreement for the same. Spokesperson of the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, Jagannath Nirola, said with permission from the cabinet, preparation has already been made to being air service agreement process with two countries. Ethiopia's warring sides agreed on Wednesday to a permanent cessation of hostilities in a conflict believed to have killed hundreds of thousands. But enormous challenges lie ahead, including getting all parties to lay down arms or withdraw. The war in Africa's second most populous country, which marks 2 years on Friday, had seen abuses documented on both sides, with millions of people displaced and many near famine. Ethiopia's government will continue restoring basic services to the Tigray region, where communications, transport and banking links for more than 5 million people level have been severed since fighting began. The parties also commit to unfettered humanitarian access. North Korea has fired at least one long-range and two short-range ballistic missiles, said South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida says one may have been an intercontinental ballistic missile. It comes after Pyongyang on Wednesday launched its most missiles in a single day, including one that landed near South Korea's territorial waters. Seoul responded by firing 3 missiles of its own. North Korea's multiple launches comes as the US and South Korea are staging their largest ever joint air drills, which Pyongyang has strongly criticized as aggressive and provocative. We have more international headliners at the side. Short break, stay tuned. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now the remaining international headliners. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro on Wednesday called for his supporters to end protests across the country following his election loss to former leftist President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Some of the demonstrations have included blockades on highways by trucks and protesters. Truckers have maintained about 150 roadblocks across the country, despite the Supreme Court's order to law enforcement to dismantle them. Bolsonaro's supporters also gathered at a regional army headquarters in Rio de Janeiro on Wednesday, demanding that the military step in and keep him in power. Bolsonaro lost to da Silva in a nail-biting contest on Sunday, garnering 49.1% of the vote to da Silva's 50.9%. The U.S. Federal Reserve on Wednesday implemented a fourth consecutive three-quarter-point interest rate hike amid the country's worst inflation in 4 decades. The Fed raised its short-term borrowing rate by 0.75 percentage points to their highest level since January 2008. Ongoing increases in the target range will be appropriate, the Fed said in a statement. The rate raise is expected to put a dent in consumers' wallets, making it more costly for Americans to pay off debt or obtain a mortgage. Two more updates before that. Let's have a quick look into the highlights of the site. The Mengtian Lab module, the second lab component of China's space station Tiangong, has completed transposition on Thursday. After the transposition maneuver, the space station completed the formation of T-shaped structure with lab modules Wentian and Mengtian on each side of Tianyi core module. The whole process of rendezvous and docking took approximately 13 hours. The scientific equipment in the Mengtian module will be used for studying microgravity and carrying out experiments in fluid physics, material science, combustion science, and fundamental physics. Moving on to sports now. Nepal today is facing Bhutan in the ongoing SAF U15 Women Championship in Bangladesh. Nepal is going to face Bhutan in its first match to be played in Dhaka. The match will start at 4:15 p.m. Nepali time. Nepal is planning to make a good start by defeating Bhutan, while Bhutan is also eyeing for its first win. Bangladesh had defeated Bhutan by 8-0 in the opening match on Tuesday. Host Bangladesh and Bhutan are participating in the championship. The top team of the tournament will win the title based on the double round robin league. A large mural of late Argentine football star Diego Armando Maradona has been unveiled in Buenos Aires ahead of this month's FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The painting, located on the side of a 14-story building, shows Maradona wearing his national team's jersey with his right hand in a fist and a defiant expression on his face. Street artist Martin Rohn was behind the mural, which he says was inspired by a photograph of the then Argentine captain that captures his expression shortly before he sang the national anthem at the 1990 World Cup final against West Germany, which Argentina lost 1-0. Rohn claims the mural in the Argentine capital is the largest one of the Maradona in the world. We are almost at the end of this news bulletin, but before we say goodbye, quick reminders of the headlines. Second phase of election canvassing begins from today. Election Commission reminds parties of code of conduct. Ethiopian government sign a peace deal with Tigray, reveals a deal calls for permanent end of hostilities that killed hundreds in 2 years. South Korea conducts missile drills after North Korea launches. Seoul claims Pyongyang fired suspected long-range missile. And Nepal playing against Bhutan today in the match of SAF U15 Women's Championship in Bangladesh. This is all we have for this moment. Until our next bulletin, goodbye and namaste.